Hello and welcome to the Heresy Lodge. I'm your host, Dylan Cooper, the constant host over here.
Gavin Franklin.
Guys, we are here this week to preview Saturnine by Dan Abnett.
The 4 books. Dan will be this each.
I think is there not one more? I think there's might be another one in there.
No, I don't think so.
Honestly, I'm glad about that.
Warhawk is Chris Wright, John French is Mortis, and then Echoes of Eternity, baby, is ADB. I'm pumped for that one.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for Warhawk and Echoes of
agree.
Eternity. So
before we dive too deep, guys, as always, hit us up on Discord. Find it pinned to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email us at theheresylodge@gmail.com. Check out our merch. Go buy yourself something nice. We're on YouTube at the Heresy Lodge. Those are the thingies. If you play Tacticus, check out Fancy Forest, discord.gg/Fancy Forest. Gavin, what are you drinking, buddy?
Are you ready for this? This is about to blow your mind.
I'm ready. I swear to God, if it's a fucking another Angry Orchard.
It's not an Angry Orchard. This is the first time ever on the podcast. You ready?
I'm ready. Miller Lite.
Hard Mountain Dew.
Oh.
It's fucking disgusting.
How does it hurt your teeth when you drink it?
It really does. They somehow kept the teeth hurting chemicals. I'm like, kind of want to get a glass and pour it out to see if it burns through the glass. I don't know. This is black cherry. It is like, it's so much sugar.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, Mountain Dew is pretty rough. It blows my mind that like I used to be like really into like soda and stuff when I was a kid. Now I'm like, man, that shit burnt my throat.
Yeah. I definitely stopped drinking soda sometime around high school. But this is first off, it's like weirdly healthy for you. It's 100 calories a can.
Well, you convinced me. I'm gonna go buy 12 boxes.
12 boxes.
It's good for me, not my teeth, and that's fine.
5%, which is not bad. It's pretty good. It tastes like, like when you go to a snow cone stand and they have like the syrup that goes into the snow cone. It tastes like you're drinking the syrup directly with no ice.
Fuck yeah, dude. That sounds so good.
It's delicious. 0 sugar. I don't know how they manage that.
That's not real.
It's they just put cancer molecules all in it.
Yeah, that's all you need. Some aspartame.
Delicious. How about you? I saw a serious drinking glass.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you this, and you're going to be like, that sounds like you guys. So we started doing this thing while Ren can't eat like real food yet, where we are doing Adventure Fridays, where we try like random like types of food we've never had before, or restaurants we've never had before. You're making a face. I know, it sounds like us. But one night we did Peruvian. And I guess they have like a special liquor that they have. It's also in Chile, apparently, the Southern America thing. It is called Pisco. So that's what I am drinking. Pisco, maybe. It's actually pretty good. Have you ever had? Yeah, it's a liquor.
What percentage?
40%.
Damn.
Yeah, it's Have you ever had Garapa?
No. Look at you with your Adventure Fridays, naming all these exotic drinks.
I get Garapa from Starlight Distillery in Southern Indiana. It's like it's a liquor that's made with grapes, but it's like the outside of the grape, and this is made with the inside of the grape.
I'm so proud of you for venturing out. Man, Venture Fridays right after Taco Tuesdays in the week.
Hey man, don't fucking judge, all right? We've had some good stuff.
Don't forget Wendy's Wednesdays right down the road.
Man, we'll never go back to the Wendy's on 135.
Sooner or later, you're going to be hopping in an RV, going to the local Mexican restaurant. eating exotic tonight, huh, honey? Oh, geez.
So this came out after we recorded last week, but there was news broke, Gavin.
Big announcement.
Huge news.
Shocking.
News that no one ever saw coming. And it is that GW likes money. They are like fucking Mr. Krabs over there. And we're all Patrick with our $3. But volume 3 for the end of the death.
3 books. Now,
People that finished number 1 are like, how the fuck is there enough for number 3?
yeah.
We haven't got there. And I can also imagine, how is there enough for 3 books here?
Funny enough, before this was announced, like 2 days before it was announced, I was like doing some thinking, and because there was like some news like a couple months back, if you remember,
Maybe, yeah.
like they renamed like the audiobook.
No, it was the Kindle version,
Yeah.
the ebook. Yeah,
What was it renamed to?
it went from like to be finished in volume 2 to like to be continued.
Yeah, and that was like, ooh, that's really weird. I wonder why they did that. And then a couple days before they announced it, I was just sitting there thinking, like, man, like when are we gonna get done with the siege? So I started calculating it up and everything. For some reason, like anytime like one of us is going on vacation or something something gets brought up, I'm like, are we gonna be done by then? Because we're getting really close. And I was like, it really kind of depends on if they release a third one. This is what happened. I was looking on Amazon for some of the Primark books, and I found that they were pre-selling the second volume.
Yep.
Right? For November 7th. That was the first time I actually saw a release date. I don't know why. I didn't know the release date of the second book.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, November 7th. Like, I was calculating out whether or not we would be finished by then. And we're actually like right aligned. We had this whole conversation like, oh, we're gonna get there, like if we do this many episodes, because we have to get there right
Yeah,
on
we were gonna like finish like almost live. Like we would get the book, plow through it in 2 weeks, and be done.
There you go.
Our dream was fucking there. We were like, holy fuck, we did it. We're done. We're gonna be done with this bullshit.
And during that time, I went on like Reddit posts because I was like, okay, what are the chances that there's a volume 3, just in case, because that'll fuck everything up. That'll just be so miserable. So all the Reddit posts I was reading were like, oh, well, it says volume, like the question would be, oh, it says volume 2. Like, does that mean volume 3? And all the responses are exactly what you're saying. Like everyone who read it was like, there's no fucking way. Like they were saying, this is what happens at the end of volume 2. I may have had like one small spoiler for me, but it was like, unless they just did like a ridiculous amount of like aftermath, there's just no way. And I'm really concerned for it. And a lot of my concern is getting heightened by reading this book.
Yeah, well, they released the cover art today too.
Oh, they did. What is it?
It's the Emperor with his sword and horse. Which means, could they not fucking fight in volume 2? Is volume 2 just the longest battle ever between Sanguinius and Horus?
Man, because I'm pretty sure
It's like a Dragon Ball Z, like Goku versus Frieza battle of Horus and Sanguinius.
here's the thing. I'm pretty sure I'm like super spaced on now. I'm pretty sure that the first book ends with them in the vengeful spirit.
So book 2 is going to be nothing but the vengeful spirit.
but the Emperor and Horus are supposed to fight on the vengeful spirit. So this gives me two pathways here. Two pathways. I'm either one, super nervous that Dan Abnett. Now, I believe this is all Games Workshop, but I'm super nervous for the books because Dan Abnett does a certain thing that I'm not a huge fan of, And I think it's going to be exemplified in those books more than anything. Or the other path is they're changing a bunch of shit, which is super exciting. I kind of hope they do.
Yeah. I bet it's the first one.
So let's talk about Dan Abnett for a second. I've been reading Saturnine. Now, I haven't finished Saturnine, so I could eat my words next episode. I hope I do. It's okay. Like, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's not the best book I've read. It's not even the best book in the Siege thus
Nope.
far.
So, if you go online and you ever like YouTube, because I've done this before, I'm sure you have, like Horus Heresy book rankings, just to see like what other people are thinking. And like some of these people, I really wonder if they like read the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they would be like, S tier, one of the best books ever, no fear. F tier, one of the worst books ever, Old Earth. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Just absolutely mind blown. But one thing I have noticed is that like people think they do believe that Dan Abnett is the best author for the Black Library. Now, I haven't read outside of the Horus Heresy novels, but from what I've read inside the Horus Heresy novels, I would respectfully disagree.
I agree. I think he's fourth.
I think he's like the fourth, third, second area.
Yeah, I would do probably ADB, Chris
We
Ray.
do love to suck it.
Maybe even sit, maybe Guy Haley 3.
Guy Haley is pretty damn good.
He is, and he gets like the shittiest stuff, and he makes it good.
He does. He wrote the Corax novels, right?
That
No,
was
that's Gav Thorpe. Also, Gav Thorpe though is
underappreciated.
good. Yeah, I do think Chris Wright and ADB though are really, really good. Now, here's the thing. This is why. This is the truth. This is why I dislike. I'm not saying I dislike Dan Abnett's books, but where Dan Abnett has some weak spots, and it's really exemplified in Saturnine. One, Dan Abnett likes to do a bunch of shit in his books, like all over the place. You're going to get introduced to so many new characters, and you're going to have like 30 different storylines that you're following at once. We saw that in No Fear. We saw that in Legion. Amazing books. But that was not like, it was kind of like you had to, like, I remember in No Fear, I had to like reread the first like 10 chapters.
Yeah, because there's so many characters, and I just don't understand like why we're introducing more new characters. Like we have established characters. Why are we not using, like we talked about this in the special last week of shit, what's his name? Katsuhira. Like why is he not in this book?
Katsuhira?
Yeah, the Escher Militarum from Lost in the Dam.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
and we glanced him in first wall. Like, why not give us him? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why is he not with Kamda Diaz or whatever the hell his name is, instead of these random people that I don't know or care about?
Exactly. And so we see that pretty heavily in Dan Abnett's work. And like, I agree with you. Like, if I had to sit down at the table and write the Siege of Terra, I'd be like, who do we have to work with? Not saying you can't introduce new characters. I'm okay with that. But like, figure out a way to, like, I'm so excited to sit down and read books that have consistent characters where their stories end. Very pumped about that.
Like, I don't know if like after like the first like trilogy, if people were like, oh, like you guys didn't do a good job of like representing the same character with different authors. But I would rather have that.
I thought they did a great job in the first three.
I agree. However, in like like we talked about in the last episode, like the Khan here like doesn't act like the Khan, which just kind of throws things off. Same thing with fuck, there's another character
Cinderman.
here. Yeah, Cinderman. I was just like, this is weird.
The second thing that Dan Abnett does not do well. And I think you know exactly what I'm about to say. Do you
Chapter
know
length,
chapter
chapter
length?
pacing.
It's so rough. And like this matters to some people and it doesn't to others. And like if you're a person, especially if you're a person that like listens to the audiobooks, it may not matter too much.
I think it's worse than the audiobook because the chapters are so long and like how it's like broken up. There's not like a pause between like this story to this story. Like the guy's reading the sentence, next sentence starts, and it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What the fuck just happened? Like sometimes
We're
like he like leaves off on like a reveal and then like something else happens and it's like, okay, fine, like that obviously makes sense, but it'll just be like something normal happening and then bam. I'm like, oh, we're a different character right now. Okay, cool.
yeah. And here's the thing. The psychology behind chapter length is really important. The concept that like you could read a chapter and be so excited about what happened in that chapter that you'd want to pick up another chapter. Okay. But there's a little caveat that goes in that. If the chapter was 40 pages long, yeah, it's time to put it down. And it makes reading like much more of a slog, much more of a chore. You feel like, oh, I have to go and read for an hour and a half to
Yeah.
make it to the next
I
chapter.
I'm on, I read on the Kindle, so it tells me how long like my reading pace is for the next chapter. And it's like, oh, it's gonna take me an hour 20 minutes. Nope, that's a while.
Yeah. So what you get with Dan a lot of times is like these really, really long chapters. And now he's able to write really, really long books because we're in the siege. His previous books were not like super long. But now we have really, really long chapters and a really, really long book with completely new characters. And a lot of it is just super fluff. We were talking about this before. Like so many of these stories in here are just completely unnecessary. We like them, they're cool. It's cool to read about. But when I hear that there's going to be a volume 3, I'm like, "Oh shit. Like it's going to be a mountain of fluff."
Yeah. Yeah, that and like some of the like characters like we're introduced to, like why are we getting introduced to new perpetual in this book? Like we
Yeah.
should have that should all be established and done. Like I don't need new important characters. I should have already been introduced to all of them by now.
Especially important characters, I agree. I mean, you think about the Perpetual Order, we had a whole story of like Narek running around and murdering all the Cabal members.
Yeah.
And you had Eldrad able to sear and look at all of them. And you have perpetuals who exist that are out there and we don't know where they are. Like whatever happened to the girl that's with Severin?
Who knows?
Why couldn't we use her? You know what I mean?
Yeah, or the chick from the Word Bearers.
Yeah, she's completely gone. Like there's perpetuals that were written into the story that had really interesting characters, really interesting backgrounds, really interesting interactions that already existed with characters in your
And
story.
were
And now,
main characters in books.
yeah, now we're getting introduced to brand new ones. And it just makes like the rest of the perpetual story seem weaker. And I was super excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, I still love John. I'm glad we get John, but I just don't get it sometimes. Like, just give us what's already established. Like, it's fine, like, throwing in more characters to add to the story. But at what point are you just adding random shit to the story?
Yeah, that's what I'm scared of a little bit. So those are my two main gripes about Saturnine is the character and the chapter length. There are a couple other things that have been quite disappointing. Um, let's start with the first one. We'll talk about it more in the review, but Cinderman is a character in this story
He's a
that's
different character than he's been
completely
written this whole time.
yes. Cinderman was first introduced to the entire series in book 1.
Yeah.
What was he?
That Dan wrote. He was
Dan wrote.
It's not called Inquisitor. It's fuck. He like talks people. Is a propaganda machine.
He was an
fucking talks to
orator.
people. Orator. That's the word. Yep.
Yeah. He was an orator that Dan wrote into existence in book 1 that was with the whole what was the whole Great Crusade. He was with them for a long time. Then the Remembrancers showed up. For some reason, in this book, Dan heavily implies and utilizes Cinderman as a remembrancer.
Yeah.
Which is not right. And like, there's so many like authorways where I was like, oh, well, technically, I didn't say he was a remembrancer. I just said he should reestablish the remembrancer order. I'm like, yeah, but why would they have an orator establish the remembrancer order? Like, he was not a part of it. That was not a shtick that he did. He got spun up with remembrancers, but by the time that he did, they weren't really remembrancers anymore. They were like saints and religious fanatics.
Yeah.
So you get that scenario, and then you have this weird jarring feeling between this book and the last book almost immediately.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, I'm really not into religion at all anymore. Like that was just like a phase. And then like that book before, he's like, holy shit, like I just saved fucking Keeler with my faith. It's so powerful that it pulled her out from this demon dream thing.
Yeah. I mean, who wrote the last one? Was it
Haley? No. Yeah, it was Lost in the Dam, right? Yep.
No, last one was
First Wall. First Wall was Gav Thorpe.
Yeah, I think so. Gav Thorpe wrote it to where it was like he had so much faith in the Emperor that the Saint Euphrates Keeler had to lean on him to support her own faith. And here he literally just starts off by saying, yeah, I just kind of don't give a shit anymore. It's super jarring. And like Dan Abnett attempts to explain this by saying, like, since he saw the demons, since he saw the Emperor, he like it's all too real for him. But I'm like, dude, weren't you on the Eisenstein when the demons invaded? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like there was so much, like such a huge switch and no character development for it, just immediate.
Yeah, no, I agree. It didn't really make sense, and he's also kind of an asshole in this book.
He is. Euphrates is also a weird kind of an asshole.
She's very weird.
She's written very strangely, like,
and very cocky, which was
incredibly
random.
cocky.
For the Saint to be cocky, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't really compute with me.
Yeah, like she was definitely a cocky character when we were first introduced to her, but after she saw demons, she went through like a crazy changed scenario, and then like her entire gimmick was about like promoting happiness almost in the Emperor. So it does seem really strange to me that she's just like shit talking people.
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
also, a character that Dan created.
Yes, another character Dan created. Other authors wrote her change, but it seems like she's taking like a huge step back as a character.
Man, I don't even Logan's weird in this book.
Logan is weird. Is.
Like, what happened with Logan? Like, so he's introduced in this book, and it's Malcador, I think, that's talking to him. And the whole time he's like talking out his fighting strategies. I'm like, what is this right now?
Or I don't know.
Right, slash, backspin, kick in the nuts. I was like, all right, kick in the nuts. I'm like, okay, did it again.
Grab his nuts, twist them. Jeez, man, you're really obsessed with this.
More nuts.
Take his nuts, throw it at that guy's nuts.
Melkor's like, oh yes, you're training hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very strange. I think it's an inner conversation, but yeah, it would be even funnier if he's like out or Ninny. You just see the guys run up the walls, just holding the nuts.
Grabbing nuts.
We know what he's gonna do to us. Give me your nuts.
Dodge left, grab nuts.
Kicking the nuts. Oh, we did it again. Oh shit.
This is a woman. What do I do? Grab the
Grabs
tits.
man's nuts and plants nuts, kicks nuts. So he gets called by Malcador essentially to go fight.
Horse.
Yes. Okay, this is what's crazy about this book. This is what's even well. This book is fucking.
It's thick.
It's thick. It's not the biggest book yet. It's only 541 pages, and
It feels longer than that.
Vengeful Spirit was 560. Here's the thing. This is what blows my mind about this novel. The story of this novel is Rogel Dorn identifies a weakness in the wall, and Portarabo also identifies it. So Dorn has to sacrifice a strategic point, and Portarabo has to take one. That's the story.
Although Portarabo is also like, nah, Dorn definitely already knows about this. And then Abaddon convinces Portarabo that he should do it.
Yeah.
And Portarabo's like, I don't know, man. Probably fucking figure it out.
Mm-hmm. And like, they basically decide that they're going to sacrifice the Eternity spaceport in order to save the Saturnine
gate. Yeah.
And Portarabo sends some people to attack it. That is like the baseline story of this book. That's it. There's really not a lot of bells and whistles added on to that story. It's all just like weird side stories.
Yeah. Like
you have the Khan fighting, you have Sanguinius fighting, you have Woken kicking balls. You've got a whole bunch of people at the Eternity spaceport just showed up, and they're like, we're ready to die.
I have a random question for you. When the fuck did the Sisters of Silence become invisible?
I did not know they were invisible. I knew you got sick around them, but that's a new thing to me too.
Yeah, when that popped up, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What is that even? How were, like, we know they aren't from fuck, what was that one book with the Blood Angels book, the first one?
The Flight of the Eisenstein. They were there fighting with Death Guard.
Oh yeah, they were there too. But I was even gonna mention when they found that one chick and God damn it, what's the first one? The first Blood
book?
Yeah.
No,
James Swallow wrote it.
Tread?
Yeah, and Fear to Tread, they found that one chick in the container, and that's why all those people were alive, because the demons couldn't find them.
Oh yeah, she was a pariah, that's right.
Yeah. So clearly the pariah gene doesn't make you fucking invisible.
Yeah. Yeah, they get like really amazed when like people can see them. And there's a whole moment. It's really cool because I am like somewhat listening to the audiobook on this one on like drives because it's so fucking long.
Yeah.
Anytime that you get the point of view of the Sisters of Silence, they bring in another voice actor.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It is cool. But she should be as confused as we are, because people should be able to fucking see her. She's not invisible. People just feel weird around her.
Yeah.
Unless like there's one guy who can randomly see her because he thinks she's a god. I was like, what is happening in this book right now?
And it's even weirder because like other Sisters of Silence can't look at each other apparently, which completely destroys.
Makes no sense. They have an apprentice that literally talks for them.
You would think that like if people can't look at you, it would be really dumb.
Hard to do.
A vow of silence and then communicate.
No
with
one's
your hands.
looking at their sign language. Oh, I'm gonna throw up, but she keeps talking.
Like the whole point of the Sisters of Silence, first off, like makes zero sense already. Because like, what a huge tactical disadvantage to
Yeah,
not be
why
able
are
to
I?
talk.
I don't understand why they're silent at all.
Yeah, it's like a vow they're taking to like align themselves with the Emperor. But if you add on top this level of complexity where people can't see you, we really should be able to talk.
Like, why can Space Marines see them?
Yeah, well, we've gotten that, but then like we saw like situations where like Dorn wouldn't even look at them or be able to look at them for long.
Yeah. Hell, there was a whole fucking book where there's a pariah that is an assassin with a group of assassins who could all see each other. So that's weird. One of
Well,
them could even like shapeshift and shit,
she
and
could
they could
talk.
see her.
That pariah could talk. Big difference.
That is true. She could talk.
What a huge benefit.
It was.
Yeah, so
I just like shit like that like drives me nuts. Like, why are we rewriting lore?
yeah, it's kind of frustrating. Let's talk about some good things here.
I don't know
Um,
why. I imagine like tabletop, you bring a Sister of Silence, but if they're within like 3 inches of your guys, they just all that they do a morale check because they're all fucking sick.
Get this fucking monster away from me.
She's disgusting.
Gets shot. Oh, she was trying to warn you the whole time.
Minus like 5 to hit because you can't see her because she's fucking invisible for some reason.
She's trying to like warn you of the approaching tanks. No one can look at her. So far in the story, um, let's talk about some things that are kind of cool. I like the idea that we're finally getting point of views again from remembrancers.
Yes, agreed.
It is really cool. They are reestablishing their remembrancer order. Every time you go and like a new story gets started or like it pans over to something, you're like, okay, um, this must be a remembrancer.
Yeah,
That's
I do like Harry.
Harry's cool. I think it's Hari, but Harry, maybe.
He says Harry on the audiobook.
Damn.
Trying to be fucking fancy. This is GW. I mean,
yeah,
I get that they're British.
Harry. I do enjoy the few characters that Dan Abnett did decide to bring back. We've seen Ark and Lan.
Yeah, I love Ark and Lan.
Don't know what the fuck Ark and Lan's doing yet. That's
No,
another thing is there's so many characters that like I'm expecting to see each character for like maybe 2 chapters because there's so fucking many.
you know, he was not listed. That should be Alfarius, just for shits and gigs.
That'd be hilarious. This would be a very funny book to put Alfarius in the character list on.
Honestly, any Dan Abnett book should just put Alfarius at the end and see how many people actually read the character list.
Yeah, that would be great.
There's normally like 6 pages, so no one ever looks at it.
There's Blood Angels. You do get who's the guy? Yeah, Zephin. Zephin does come back. I've only seen very briefly so far.
We're only going to see him very briefly.
Okay. So I've seen Zephin.
Yeah. Reminder: Zephin is the guy from Master of Mankind. He was the like crippled Blood Angel that Arkham Land fixed.
Yep. We do see Loken, just like we said. Apparently, we see Garo. I have yet to see Garo.
I thought it was Garo, and then it turns out there's a whole new Space Marine that no one's ever heard of who's in an armor that is also gray, but it's a different gray than an errant gray. His name is Letu or something like that.
Cool.
And he's with the new Perpetual. Esha.
We have a new perpetual Esha. John Grammaticus is in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Always fun to see John. You like don't see any of him for the first half of the book.
Yeah, it picked up where I'm at now. He's had a pretty long chapter. And also, I'm pretty sure this Asha chick was fucking the Emperor.
That's cool. That's
It's
cool.
very weird. Apparently, she's the mother of the Astartes. Well, so I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about that next week, but okay.
So
Apparently, the
interesting.
Sisters of Selenar are useless. I don't know.
Interesting storyline. Would love to see how that makes sense. You see, there's a whole storyline. I like this storyline. So the whole concept behind this book is like the Saturnine wall is supposed to be a secret to both sides, so neither side ends up finding out, which would, by the way, great place to write Alpha Legion into, just saying.
Yep.
But they didn't so far. But at the same time, there's this general. He's a human general. His name is Naborin. He's kind of an interesting character. So he gets kicked out of the planning room by the Khan for just being human, I guess. I don't know. The Khan just kicked him out. It was funny, but super unlike the Khan. And he ends up going to defend the Eternity spaceport, knowing that it's going to fall. And he seems like a really cool character. Really into like pretty much everyone, that all the characters that are going to just like sacrifice themselves at the Eternity spaceport.
Yep.
I enjoy that storyline so far.
Yeah. I really like there's another guy there. His last name is Pierce. And he's with Harry. And he
All
tells
Pierce.
no,
It is all Pierce.
it's not all.
It's not all, but his name is all
Oh,
Pierce.
yes.
That
But
may become important later, by the way.
think so?
Hmm?
Think so?
I think it will. Ollie Piers is his name.
Either way, he is telling Harry that everyone is a fucking liar. And I love it.
Yeah. There's this like thing that they try to do in the book. Dan Abnett always tries to write like a little gimmick into his books, and I kind of like it. Like he wrote not like a funny thing, but like in No Fear, he had like the back or the counter on all the chapters, which was really awesome. Really cool way to write it. And this book, he writes every single like Imperial trooper has to identify not only their name, but where they're from. And I don't like it.
Yeah.
Every time you get introduced to new people, there's like a half a page of people explaining like their names are like five words long. And I'm like, I'm never gonna remember you. You're gonna say it a million times. I'm more confused.
Yep. Yeah, that's why like I really hate like that aspect of Dan's books. Like, man, quit throwing all these fucking characters at me. I can't remember all these names. Especially if you read all the books before this. Like we've probably gone over what, like over 1,000 characters.
Um, maybe this book has 8 pages of characters.
Jesus
8 pages.
Christ.
8.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many characters. I mean, some of them are repeats. Definitely not all of them. I'd say you're going to get introduced to at least 10 new characters every novel, 74 characters, so 700 and some. Or 74 books, so 700 some new unique characters, I would say. We might be approaching the 1,000 realm.
I'd be surprised if there's not. I mean,
Mhm.
over 50 books. There's more than 10 characters in every book, so you're already over 500.
Well, I mean, they have to be new characters, right? Is the
Yeah.
concept. Some of them are carryover. I'd say you're getting introduced to at least 10 new characters each book, which is 700 and some. More, some books are more so than that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. If it's a Dan book, it's at least 15 new characters.
Uh,
Minimum.
yeah. Which is why I think we talk about all the time, like they're creating that Warhammer TV show. Like if they were to ever do the Horse Heresy, they could not stick to source material. It's too many actors, too many storylines. They would really need to start converging characters into multiple storylines, saying like, oh, the perpetual we meet here should be the perpetual we met in Vengeful Spirit, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anything else you didn't have enjoyed so far, picked out?
I do like. I'm very curious where John's storyline is going. That's where
Mhm.
I'm at right now. I don't care for that there's a new perpetual, really, but I'm invested. Old Pearson's should be showing up. Excited for that.
Maybe he's already there.
Maybe. Um, I kind of like how Abaddon is kind of just taking over the sense of Horus.
Yes, I do love that. Abaddon's really shining in this book.
Yeah. I
Um,
think I mean, it's showing why he is who he is in 40K now, right? I mean,
yeah,
I think it's very strange how I don't know. There's a moment with him and Porter Rabo in this book that I don't really want to go into yet in this here. And it makes me like Porter Rabo's a fucking Primarch, and he like knows he's kind of being played, but at the same time he lets himself get played. And I don't know
yeah,
how I like that.
yeah. I agree. Um, I do like poor Rabo's character as long as the further the siege goes on, seems to be a little more sporadic in his decision making, maybe a little more crazy. Um, but Abaddon, they're spending a lot of time on Abaddon on the siege. And I really enjoy that. I like we said, we wish they would have done more with Abaddon. He would have been a great like bad guy to have a consistent storyline throughout the siege, throughout the Horse Heresy. It would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but now I really like what they're doing. You get moments where like him and the remaining Sons of Horus, they literally say out loud, "What the fuck is up with Horus?"
Yeah.
They're not super on board with where their plan is taking them. Like when they started out, like I bet you if they went back, they'd be like, "Let me think about it. Let me ponder this decision to betray Loken and Torgadon."
Yeah.
Yeah, because apparently Horse is getting even weirder. You get to see Argonis in this one, who's Horse's new equerry. He's having conversations with Abaddon and Aximon, and there's just a lot of like really cool moments where Abaddon's taking control, and Aximon and Argonis and a couple other people are just kind of like following him, and he's starting to command even Primarchs at this point.
Yeah. I still think it's Aximon's kind of turned into a bitch too.
Aximon is a little bit of a bitch. He always has been, and his whole story is he's like seeing Loken and
Which is
his sleep.
weird. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Logan's like, gonna punch him in the nuts.
Agumon is just continuously walking his hands over his nuts.
Oh God.
Abaddon's like, "What's your problem?" Man, it's like, you never know where Loken might be. So yeah, Abaddon's really cool. I do really like the story. There is a tied little story between Mortarion and Magnus. Um, I think Wrath of Magnus or Fury of Magnus is going to be really cool. Um, this book, there's like a whole few scenes that are leading up to the story of Fury of Magnus, which is technically the next book in the series.
Yeah.
Very excited for that. Ariman's a little weird. Ariman's like
Yeah.
strangely cocky when
Yeah.
previously he's been super cautious. But we saw that in Crimson King too.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I think there's gonna be a lot more to talk about next week, and I expect next week to be a longer episode.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we can get through this fucking thing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this might end up being
Really?
a 2-part review,
Yeah.
or it might be just one long one. We'll see. I'm a little more than halfway. You're about halfway,
Yeah.
but there is
I've
a lot
got
to talk about.
tons of time this weekend. Last week when we were at Gencon, how did that go?
Gencon was fucking awesome. It's definitely gonna be something I want to do every year.
Yeah, I spent like $700 on board games.
Jesus Christ, man. I mean, I had a really good time. Some of the games we played were really cool, like Shadows of War. That
Yeah.
was or Whispers, Shadow of
Whispers,
Whispers of Shadows, something.
Whispers of Shadows, something like that.
That game was fucking fun. That was a lot of fun. It's very different, and I really enjoyed it. I actually
War of Whispers.
War Whispers. That's it. I actually, one of the guys in my fantasy football group, he's really big into board games. I told him about it. He ended up buying it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. We both got Revive. That was a fun game.
Yeah, it was a big game. I'm
That is a big
excited to get some people together to play that one or the zoo one that I got.
Yeah, I want to play the zoo one. Eschaton was really good.
I think I'm gonna try and play that tonight.
That's a good game.
It's really simple too. That's a good
It
one.
is simple. It's something that's a lot easier just to play, and then it's like, oh, this makes sense. Then try
Yeah,
to explain it.
absolutely.
Although I think Revive is the same way. It looks super complicated, but you're only doing 2 things. It's not that complicated.
Yeah, it's a relatively simple game. But the Revive and the zoo game that I got, I can't even remember the name of the zoo game. I got it right here. It is called Arc Nova. Those two are huge games. And you look at the amount of pieces and you're like, oh man, how do I do this? And you spend like 2.5 hours reading the directions, and then you're like, oh, this is actually an easy game once you sit down and start playing it.
Yeah.
One thing I will say too is with those big Euro games, like $60. Both of them are $60.
Yeah.
There were games that had maybe a fourth of those components, maybe, probably not even that. $100 games. What?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make sense like the pricing of games. Like even like because I like you're really big into board games. So like I've got new board games for Christmas and stuff, and I'm like looking at them like, what the fuck? Like I am not spending $200 for this Risk board.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. Yep. We played a few board games. We saw insane lines. If any of you are into Lorcana, it was big at Gen Con. A whole new
Well, apparently that was like the release of it was at Gencon.
yes.
So
The
like
first cards.
fucking ridiculous. Like the line was like out the door. And the convention center is huge, guys. It's not this little thing. Like it would like snake through the convention center and out the doors. Insane. People were like standing in that line for hours.
Yeah, and they're selling boxes right now. Like if you go online and try to purchase them, they're online for like $200.
You wait a month and it'll be $20 because the game will be fucking released.
Exactly.
Like I don't even understand like a scalping perspective from this.
I don't get it either.
Also, like it's a Disney game. Like who gives a fuck?
8 hours, man. 8 hours of a line to get trading
Insane.
cards.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not
if
like
that's your
it's like a
thing,
magic card.
yeah. I mean, there were tons of magic cards. Somebody got, what was it, 3,000
$300,000 is what they stole.
magic cards?
I mean, that's just like the estimated price. Like, I'm sure if there was some of those cards are worth a lot of money.
Jesus Christ, that's so much. $300,000.
It just took. So, for those that don't know, someone just took like an entire pallet of Magic the Gathering cards and took off with it. No one stopped them. Although, honestly, the security there was pretty sketchy. Like, the only time my badge was ever checked was on like Saturday. Maybe it was Sunday.
This is what's so weird about it there is like you could get away with so much But like I got my badge checked all the time, and it was always like I have my badge on, but it wasn't flipped correctly.
Yeah, it was stupid.
And I was like, okay, let me flip it around for you.
Sorry, my hands are full. You want to flip it for me?
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
guy punches you in the nuts.
But then walking away with $300,000 worth of magic cards. I'm glad they caught the badges. Man,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun though. Like the entire like football stadium that the Colts play at was reserved for fucking like gaming tables and stuff. It was really fun. We played there. We played Eschaton. That's how we found Eschaton and played it. It was a really fun game.
Shadows we played there.
Yeah, shows was really cool. Um,
Yep.
that I think that might have been my favorite game we played.
When you were gone, we played Barcadia. And that's a fucking blast. Now, it's a drinking game and a board game, but I would say it's more of a drinking game.
Yeah, you didn't really give me the rundown of it.
It's so easy. Basically, the entire map is made of tiles, okay? And you play the cup full of a drink. And like you try to move onto a tile. So all the tiles start face down. You flip it up and it'll be like a monster. And the monster says a 10. You have to roll a 10 or higher. If you don't, you take however much damage the monster
I'm
says.
assuming 2 dice.
No, just one d20.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like it's like you can get lucky or you can just drink a lot. And like the whole goal of the game is to find this like monster called the Golden Horde. And the only way to win is like you kill the Golden Horde. And the funny part about it is like you get to the Golden Horde and none of your like you pick up items and stuff on the way to help benefit your character. Like none of those count towards the Golden Horde. And you have to roll a 15 or higher. So like the game's just designed to perpetually make you drink.
It's a game I can already tell you I'm going to be bad at. If I
It's
have to roll above a 10 on any dice.
yeah. It was really funny because like one of the options in the game is to attack one of the other players. You have to be adjacent to them and you move and fight them. And my character, like each character gets some sort of special benefit. And when you fight somebody, you just roll 2d20s. Whoever wins makes the other person drink.
Yeah.
Right. Well, my character, like his benefit was if I yelled huzzah before fighting somebody, I got to add +3 to my attack.
Oh,
So
that's
I just
interesting.
kept chasing Connor around the board.
Huzzah! That's hilarious.
It was great. Like neither of us came close to winning at all. It was very funny. Yeah, so Barcadia, that's a good one. I would absolutely, if you're like not super into board games, maybe you have like a group of friends that you meet, maybe you play miniatures, maybe you play Warhammer and you drink and you're like, hey, like I kind of want to try something just for like a fun party night. That's a really, really good one because it's not like, oh, Cards Against Humanity, which I can't stand. It's a board game. It has like a little bit of directions to it, not a lot.
Yeah. I think that'd be a good game for here. Like Alex does not like games very much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she just hates me. I don't know. But I think that'd be something that should be like, all right. This is fun.
I mean, Jess played it and she won, which is Connor's fiance. So that was pretty funny to watch the whole thing transpire. I got a little drunk. But yeah, if you guys are interested, Gencon happens typically the first weekend of August every year in Indianapolis. They're signed through 2030 now in Indianapolis. We're probably gonna be going next year.
I plan on doing it annually. I really, really liked it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And they have amazing food trucks. They serve drinks. They're expanding it every year. It's getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, you should definitely look into it.
Yep. I mean, honestly, like it's really cool to like see all the things. And honestly, I think I kind of enjoyed not getting into the games that we tried to get into. Like
Yeah.
like you can like sign up for like RPGs and stuff like that like before and do like a game session in, but I think I had a better time like, oh, like we just bought this game, like let's go play. Like, oh, we demoed this, we bought it, let's go play. We went to the library, we grabbed a game and tried it out. Like I think honestly that's better.
Yeah. No, I agree. I had a really good time. Like I did enjoy just like picking up random games. I'm gonna try and get more people to go next year. I'd love to see like Marcus or whatever make it for a
Man,
couple
I
games.
would love
It'd be
to
a lot of
hang out with
fun.
Marcus at Get Gen Con. I have a friend that's really into board games that I think he's gonna come next year.
Get a whole squad together. We can play like 4 or 5 player games. Maybe we can even do our own little RPG session or whatever.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, be a fun time.
Yep. All right, guys. This is it for us. We'll be back next week with at least review part 1, maybe review part 1 and 2 of Saturnine. So always hit us up on Discord. You can find that pinned to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email us at theheresiolodge@gmail.com. Hit us up on YouTube at the Heresy Lodge. If you play a Tacticus, go to the Pants of Horus guys at discord.gg/Pants of Horus. Buy some merch, feed my child, fund Gavin's wedding. All right, guys. Have a good one.